Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, daily Srimad Bhagavatam reading class. So many days we are unable to continue Srimad Bhagavatam class. From today, we'll continue Srimad Bhagavatam reading class. So, you are reading fourth canto, 18th chapter. Prithu Maharaj milks the earth planet from 20 slok. So we'll continue. So at first we'll recite Mangalacharan, then we'll continue from 20 slok. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshu Avatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Mukam Karati Vachalam Punghum Langayate Grim Yatkripatamahang Vande Shigurundinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Chaitanya Isharam Om Tatsat नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिचारु स्वामिनिति नामिने स्निग्धचेत सुप्रणीत वाग्मिनां चरसाप्लुतं प्रभुपादगत प्राणानोमि भक्तिचारुपदम् नमोऽयं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुन्दिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् ओम तत्सत् हरे कृष्णा fourth canto 18th chapter slok number 20. You can see the verse. अन्ये च मयि न मायम् अंतर्धनाद् भूतात्मानं मायं प्रकल्प्य वत्सां ते दुदुहुर्धारणामहिम्. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Others, also the inhabitants of planets known as Kim Purusha Loka, made the demon Maya into a calf, and they milk out mystic powers by which one can disappear immediately from another's vision and appear again in a different form. Purport. It is said that the inhabitants of Kim Purusha Loka can perform many wonderful mystic demonstrations. In other words, they can exhibit as many wonderful things as one can imagine. The inhabitants of this planet can do whatever they like or whatever they imagine. Such powers are also mystic powers. The position of such mystic power is called Ishita. The demons generally learn such mystic powers by the practice of yoga. In the Dasam Skanda 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a vivid description of how the demons appear before Krishna in various wonderful forms. For instance, Bakasura appeared before Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends as a gigantic crane. While present on this planet, Lord Krishna had to fight with many demons who could exhibit the wonderful mystic powers of Kim Purusha Loka. Although the inhabitants of Kim Purusha Loka are naturally endowed with such powers, one can attain these powers on this planet by performing different yogic practices. यक्षा रक्षांसि भूतानि पिशाचा पिशितस्सना भूतेशा वत्स दुदुः कपाले शताजाशवम्. Translation. Then the yakshas, rakshasas, ghosts and witches who are habituated to eating flesh transformed Lord Shiva's incarnation Rudra Bhutnath into a calf and milked out beverages made of blood and put them in a pot made of skulls. But there are some types of living entities in the form of human beings whose living conditions and uh, eatables are most abominable. Generally, they eat flesh and fermented blood, which is mentioned in this verse as Shatajaswavam. The leaders of such degraded men known as Yakshas, Rakshasas, Bhutas and Pisachas are all in a mode of ignorance. They have been placed under the control of Rudra. Rudra is the incarnation of Lord Shiva and is in charge of the mode of ignorance in material nature. Although name of Lord Shiva is Bhutnath, meaning master of ghosts, Rudra was born from between Brahma's eyes when Brahma was very angry at the four Kumaras. Text 22. Tatahayodan दशुखा सर्पनागाश्च विधया वत्सं दूधुर बिलापत्रे विषम पया. Translation thereafter, cobras and snakes without hoods, large snakes, scorpions, and many other poisonous animals took poison out of the planet Earth as their milk and kept this poison in snake holes. They made a calf out of takshaka. Purport. Within this material world, there are various types of living entities, and the different types of reptiles and scorpions mentioned in this verse are also provided with their sustenances by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The point is that everyone is taking his eatables from the planet Earth. According to one's association with the material qualities, one develops a certain type of character. Payapanam bhujan ganam. If one feeds a serpent milk, the snake will simply increase his venom. However, if one supplies milk to a talented sage or saint, the sage will develop finer brain tissues by which he can contemplate higher spiritual life. Thus, the Lord is supplying everyone food, but according to the living entity's association with the modes of material nature, the living entity develops his specific character. Text 23 to 24. पाशवो यावशं शिरं पत्सं कृत्वा च गोभृषाम् आरण्यपत्रे चाधुक्षन् मृगेन्द्रेण च दंस्त्रिणा क्रवयाद्दा प्रणीना क्रव्यं दुदुहुष्वे कलेवरे सुपर्णा बत्सभिहगश चारम चाचारम evacha. Translation. The four-legged animals like the cows made a calf out of the bull who carries Lord Shiva and made a milking pot out of the forest. Thus they got fresh green grasses to eat. Ferocious animals like tigers transformed a lion into a calf, and thus they were able to get flesh for milk. The birds made a calf out of Garuda and took milk from the planet Earth in the form of moving insects and non-moving plants and grasses. Purport. There are many carnivorous birds descended from Garuda, the winged carrier of Lord Vishnu. Indeed, there is a particular type of bird that is very fond of eating monkeys, and eagles are fond of eating goats. Of course, many birds eat only fruits and berries. Therefore, the words charam referring into moving animals, and acharam referring to grasses, fruits, and vegetables are mentioned in this verse. Text 25. Vata vatsa vanaspataya पृथाग्रासामयं पया गिरयो हिमवत् वत्सा nanadhatun swasanusu. Translation. The trees made a calf out of the banyan tree, and thus they derived milk in the form of many delicious juices. The mountains transformed the Himalayas into a calf, and they milked a variety of minerals into a pot made of the peaks of hills. Text 26. सर्वेष्वामुख्यवत्सेना स्वे स्वे पत्रे पृथक् पया सर्वकामार्दुघं पृथ्वीं दुदुः पृथुभावितम्. Translation. The planet Earth has supplied everyone his respective food, During the time of King Prithu, the earth was fully under the control of the king. Thus, all the inhabitants of the earth could get their food supply by creating various types of carbs and putting their particular types of milk in various pots. Purport. This is evidence that the Lord supplies food to everyone as confirmed in the Vedas. Eko bahunam jo bidadhati kaman. Although the Lord is one, He is supplying all necessities to everyone through the medium of the planet Earth. There are different varieties of living entities on different planets, and they all derive their eatables from the planets in different forms. On the basis of these descriptions, how can one assume that there is no living entity on the moon? Every moon is earthly, being composed of the five elements. Every planet produces different type of food according to the needs of its residents. According to the Vedic Shastras, it is not true that the moon does not produce food or that no living entity is living there. Text 27. एवं पृथ्वी आदया पृथ्वीम् अन्नदा स्वननम् आत्मना दोहा वत्सदि भेदा भेदना शिरा भेदम कुरुद्वहा. Translation: My dear Vidura, chief of the Kurus, in this way King Prithu and all the others who subsist on the food created different types of carbs and milked out their respective eatables. Thus they received their various foodstuffs which were symbolized as milk. Text 28. ततो महीपति प्रेथा सर्वकामा दुगम पृथु दुहितृत्वे चक्रे मम प्रेमना दुहितीर्वत्सला. Translation: Thereafter, King Prithu was very satisfied with the planet Earth, for she sufficiently supplied all food to various living entities. Thus, he developed an affection for the planet Earth, just as if she were his own daughter. Text 29. Churnayam sadhanuskotya girikutani rajarat bhumandalam idam vainya Prayaschakre Shamam Vibhu. Translation: After this, the king of all kings, Maharaj Prithu, leveled all rough places on the surface of the globe by breaking up the hills with the strength of his bow. By his grace, the surface of the globe almost became flat. But generally, the mountainous and hilly portions of the earth are made flat by the striking of thunderbolts. Generally, this is the business of King Indra of the heavenly planets, but King Prithu, an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, did not wait for King Indra to break up the hills and mountains, but did so himself by using his strong bow. Text 30. अथस्मिन् भगवन् वैन्या प्रजानं वृत्तिदापिता निवासन् कल्पयं चक्रे तत्र तत्र यथर्हता. Translation: To all the citizens of the state, King Prithu was as good as a father. Thus he was visibly engaged in giving them proper uh, subs, uh, subsistence and proper employment for subsistence. After leveling the surface of the globe, he earmarked different places for residential quarters inasmuch as they were desirable. Text 31. ग्रामान् पुरा पत्तनानि दुर्गानि विविधानि च घोषन् व्रजन् सशिबिरान् आकारन् खेता खर्वतान्. Translation: In this way, the king founded many types of villages, settlements, and towns, and built forts, residences for cowherdsmen, stables for the animals, places for the royal camps, mining places, agriculture towns, and mountain villages. Text 32. प्रकृथोर इह नैवैषा पुराग्रामादिकल्पना यथा सुखं बसन्ति स्म तत्र तत्र कुतो भया. Translation: before the reign of King Prithu, there was no planned arrangement for different cities, villages, pasturing grounds, etc. Everything was scattered, and everyone constructed his residential quarters according to his own convenience. However, from the time of King Prithu, plans were made for towns and villages. Purport from this statement, it appears that town and city planning is not new, but has been coming down since the time of King Prithu. In India, we can see regular planning methods evident in very old cities. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many descriptions of such ancient cities. Even 5000 years ago, Lord Krishna's capital Dwarka was well planned, and similar other cities, Mathura and Hastinapura, now New Delhi, were also well planned. Thus, the planning of cities and towns is not a modern innovation, but was exciting in bygone ages. Thus, end of the Bhakti Vedanta purport of the fourth canto, 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Prithu Maharaj Milks the Earth Planet. Chapter 19. Text 1. King Prithu's 100 horse sacrifices. So we'll continue from chapter 19, slok 1. Maitra Uvacha. अथ दीक्षता राजा तु हयामेधा शतेन सा ब्रह्मवर्ते मनोक्षेत्रे यत्र प्राचीश सरस्वती. Translation: The great sage Maitra continued, My dear Vidura, King Prithu initiated the performance of the 100 horse sacrifices at the spot where the river Saraswati flows towards the east. This piece of land is known as Brahmavarta, and it was controlled by Swayambhu Manu. Text 2. तद अभिप्रेत्या भगवान कर्मातिशायम् आत्मना सता क्रतुर्नामं ममृषे पृथुर्यज्ञा महोत्सवम्. Translation: When the most powerful Indra, the king of heaven, saw this, he considered the fact that King Prithu was going to exceed him in fruitive activities. Thus Indra could not tolerate the great sacrificial ceremonies performed by King Prithu. Purport: In the material world, everyone who comes to enjoy himself or lord it over material nature is envious of others. This envy is also found in the personality of the king of heaven, Indra. As evident from the revealed scriptures, Indra was several times envious of many persons. He was especially envious of the great fruitive activities and the execution of yoga practices or siddhis. Indeed, he could not tolerate them and he desired to break them up. He was envious due to fear that those who performed great sacrifices for the execution of mystic yoga might occupy his seat. Since no one in this material world can tolerate another's advancement, everyone in the material world is called Matsara, envious. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is therefore said that Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for those who are completely nirmatsara, non-envious. In other words, one who is not free from the contamination of envy cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, however, if someone excels another person, the devotee who is excelled thinks how fortunate the other person is to be advancing in devotional service. Such non-envy is typical of Vaikuntha. However, when one is envious of his competitor, that is material. The demigods posted in the material world are not exempt from envy. Slok 3. Yatra yagyapati sakshad Bhagavan Harir Ishvara अन्वयूयता सर्वत्मा सर्वलोका guru prabhu. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead Lord Vishnu is present in everyone's heart as a super soul, and he is the proprietor of all planets and the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Was personally present at the sacrifices made by King Prithu. Purport: in this verse was the word Saksat is significant. Prithu Maharaj was a Saktavesha avatar incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Actually, Prithu Maharaj was a living entity, but they acquired specific powers from Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, however, is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus belongs to the category of Vishnu Tattva. Maharaj Prithu belonged to the Jiva Tattva. The Vishnu Tattva indicates God, whereas the Jiva Tattva indicates the part and parcel of God. When God's part and parcel is specially empowered, he is called Saktavesh Avatar. Lord Vishnu is herein described as Hari Ishwara. The Lord is so kind that he takes all miserable conditions away from his devotees. Consequently, he is called Hari. He is described as Ishwara because he can do whatever he likes. He is the supreme controller, the supreme Ishvara. Purushottama is Lord Krishna. He exhibits his powers as Ishvara or the supreme controller when he assures his devotee in Bhagavad Gita 18.66, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from the all sinful reaction. Do not fear. He can immediately make his devotee immune from all the reactions caused by the sinful life. If the devotee simply surrenders unto him, he is described herein as Sarvatma, meaning that he is present in everyone's heart as a super soul, and as such is the supreme teacher of everyone. If we are fortunate enough to take the lessons given by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, our lives immediately become successful. No one can give better instructions to human society than Lord Krishna. Text 4. Anvito Brahma Sarvavyam Lokapalai Shahanugai Upagiya Mano Gandharvair Munibhish Chap Saro Ganai. Translation: when Lord Vishnu appeared in the sacrificial arena, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the chief predominating personalities of every planet, as well as their followers, came with him. When he appeared on the scene, the residents of Gandharva Loka, the great sages, and the residents of Apsara Loka all praised him. Text 5. सिद्धविद्याधर दैत्या धानवा गुह्यकादया सुनंदानंद प्रमुखा पर्ष पर्षदा pravara hare. Translation: the Lord was accompanied by the residents of Siddhaloka and Vidyadhara Loka, all the descendants of Diti and the demons and the yakshas. He was also accompanied by his chief associates, headed by Sunanda and Nanda. Text 6. Kapilo Narado Datto Yogesha Sanakadaya Tam Anviyur Bhagavata Yacha Tat Sevanot Sukha. Translation: great devotees who were always engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as well as the great sages named Kapila, Narada, and Dattatreya, and masters of mystic powers, headed by Sanaka Kumara, all attended the great sacrifice with Lord Vishnu. Text 7. Yatra dharma duga bhumi sarva kama duga sati do dogdhi sma bhipsitan arthan yajamana shaya bharata. Translation, my dear Vidura, in that great sacrifice, the entire land came to be like the milk produced in Kamdhenu, and thus by the performance of Yagya, all daily necessities for life were supplied. Here, purport Prabhupada said that in these words, the word dharma dugha is significant for it indicates Kamdhenu. Kamdhenu is also known as Surabhi. Surabhi cows inhabit the spiritual world, and as stated in Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna is engaged in tending these cows. Surabhir abhipalayantam. One can milk a Surabhi cow as often as one likes, and the cow will deliver as much as milk as one requires. Milk, of course, is necessary for the production of so many milk products, especially clarified butter, which is required for the performance of great sacrifices. Unless we are prepared to perform the prescribed sacrifices, our supply of the necessities of life will be checked. Bhagavad Gita confirms that Lord Brahma created human society along with Yagya, the performance of sacrifice. Yagya means Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and sacrifice means working for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this age, however, it is very difficult to find qualified Brahmanas who can perform sacrifices as prescribed in the Vedas. Therefore, it is recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam Yagya Sankirtana Prayai that by performing Sankirtana Yagya and by satisfying the Yagya Purusha, Lord Chaitanya, one can derive all the results derived by great sacrifices in the past. King Prithu and others derived all the necessities of life from the earthly planet by performing great sacrifices. Now, this Sankirtana movement has already been started by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. People should take advantage of this great sacrifice and join this in the society's activities. Then there will be no scarcity. If Sankirtana Yajna is performed, there will be no difficulty, no, not even in industrial enterprises. Therefore, this system should be introduced in all spheres of life, social, political, industrial, commercial, etc. Then everything will run very peacefully and smoothly. Text 8. Uhu sarva rasannadya shiradadhi annago rasan taravo bhuri bharsmana prashuyanta madhuchuta. Translation, the flowing river supplied all kinds of tastes, sweet, pungent, sour, etc. And very big trees supplied fruit and honey is abundance. The cows, having eaten sufficient green grass, supplied profuse quantities of milk, curd, clarified butter, and similar other necessities. Purport: if rivers are not polluted and are allowed to flow in their own way, or sometimes allowed to flood the land will become very fertile and able to produce all kinds of vegetables, trees, and plants. The word rasa means taste. Actually, all rasas are tastes within the earth, and as soon as seeds are sown in the ground, various trees sprout up to satisfy our different tastes. For instance, sugar can provide its juices to satisfy our taste for sweetness, and oranges provide the juices to satisfy our taste for a mixture of the sour and the sweet. Similarly, there are pineapples and other fruits. At the same time, there are chilies to satisfy our taste of pungency. Although the earth's ground is the same, different tastes arise due to different kinds of seeds. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bijam mam sarva bhutanam. I am the original seed of all existences. Therefore, all arrangements are there. And as stated in Isopanishada, Purnam Idam, complete arrangements for the production of all the necessities of life are made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People should therefore learn how to satisfy the Yajna Purusha, Lord Vishnu. Indeed, the living entity's prime business is to satisfy the Lord because the living entity is part and parcel of the Lord. Thus, the whole system is so arranged that the living entity must do his duty as is continuously constitutionally made. Without doing so, all living entities must suffer. That is the law of nature. The words Taravo Bhuri verse Mana indicate very luxuriantly grown, big bodied trees. The purpose of the trees was to produce honey and varieties of fruit. In other words, the forest also has its purpose is supplying honey, fruits and flowers. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, due to an absence of yajna, there are many big trees in the forests, but they do not supply sufficient fruits and honey. Thus, everything is dependent on the performance of yajna. The best way to perform yajna in this age is to spread the Sankirtana movement all over the world. So, we'll stop here. From tomorrow, we'll continue from Slok 9. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, पतित पावन श्री गुरु महाराज की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्तविंद की जय।